an aging population, and not enough babies. China's 7th national census lays bare the demographic time bomb facing the world's second biggest economy.
The census report showed an actual increase in the population as it reached about 1.41 billion people last year, up by about 5.38% from a decade ago. Based on percentage terms, it is the smallest increase recorded since the Chinese government conducted its first census in 1953. It's also important to note that 12 million babies were born in China last year, the lowest official number of births since 1961.
For over 3 decades, China had a one-child policy. This ended in 2015. But even though Chinese couples are now allowed to have 2 children, many are still stopping at 1.
不是钱的问题，而是在于每多一个孩子带来的一个边际成本是什么。
The couple live and work in Shanghai, which has some of the highest property prices on the mainland.
比如说，一个中产在中国，在上海这个地方，差不多是一套可能几十平的房子，不到100平。这样子的话，也就足够住大概父母2个人加上小朋友2个人，最多再加1个人就已经非常挤了。那在上海换房子的话，现在目前的平均价格应该是在1平方米8到10万人民币这样子。所以基本上大部分的家庭按照上海的白领平均收入应该是在5000、1万。这种入门吧，这样子的话，你交完税以后，其实还要付很多的其他的费用。另外一边呢，也是因为说，在上海大部分的夫妻都是共同工作的，在上海可能是早9点到晚12点，或者晚1点、2点，一周工作7天。
Experts also say there are structural mismatches in the labour market, and this could become increasingly challenging in the long term.
China is having this insanely young retirement age, women at 55 and men at 60. There's a huge waste of human capital there. And right now, there is actually a labor surplus problem for most of the industries. A bigger problem in the labor market actually is the mismatch of skills, because there is a labor shortage in manufacturing. But Chinese babies are not growing into industrial workers in the future.
In order to maintain its target growth of above 6%, China is looking to transition its economy away from a labor-intensive one.
I think this transition is already under progress, because for economic drivers, there are mainly 3. There is labor, capital, and also technology. In the past 20 years, China mostly relied on cheap labor and huge investment in infrastructure to drive its economic growth. But in the coming 10 years, labor is still a very strong factor, but instead of the number of workers, China will have to spend more money and efforts in improving its human capital by increasing the education. I believe this will become the foundation of China's future economic growth, because innovation and technology will multiply output by a much bigger multiplier.
And this could bring new investment opportunities for Asia.
So for Asian investors, there are a few areas they can really benefit from China's demographic transition. And one obvious area is in the healthcare industry, because China is really lagging in its elderly care and healthcare in general. And then when it comes to the change in economic forms, there is an interesting and emerging trend of the singles economy. So there are already a lot of business targeting Chinese young people, the single women, but I think in the next 10 years, it will probably become the golden era of the single economy.
The Chinese government has been very public in declaring the national goals of China Manufacturing 2025, China AI 2030, raising the overall manufacturing level to become much more intelligent, to become much more innovative and to embrace strategic and key sectors going forward. And so I think investors are very keen on identifying opportunities to invest in these particular areas.
Riding on both technology and its population as economic drivers, China is expected to still drive post-pandemic growth in the region.
If China is able to properly address the aging population issue, the fertility rate issue, and at the same time raise the level of its productivity, then we could possibly see a transformed Chinese economy. And with that, it will bring material difference to its neighbors in Asia.
But for many young families, it's a different sort of material difference that's hitting close to home.
再养第二个小朋友，对我们现在就是以我们现有的经济条件，就买一辆豪华级跑车
，100-200万的车。
对，就是你说买不起吗？买得起的，但是你说真的有必要吗？好像想想又没有必要。
我们可能会感觉小朋友，就是小朋友是一种付出，就是你在养孩子的过程中，你是在不断的付出给他，然后并没有太多拿回来的东西，你要付出时间、付出金钱、付出很多成本，但是它的回报是非常低的，所以这个投资可能做一个就够了。应该不算是很，
不是一个健康的财务模型。